Davis, the chair. This is Julie Woods, the secretary, and Marty Harris, the vice chair. And so we start the meeting with the order of business starting later. But first I'd like to introduce our guests. The first set of guests is the Infinite Monkey Theorem Wanderer. Are they still here? Oh well, they're coming to the neighbourhood and they'll soon be on Pickle Road. They have an agenda of construction process that's supposed to finish in a few months. I don't know if that's wishful thinking, but they're basically fitting out a warehouse on Pickle Road for a winery where they'll be using Texas grapes, crushing and shredding on them in the warehouse and making wine from that. And there'll be a tasting room. Then the other guests are a couple of guys who are going to... Are they there? Oh, there. Would you like to stand up and introduce yourselves? Sure. I believe you're going to be developing a property on South Country. I've got 1 minute.
I'm Marty Wander. We are new to the Dawson neighborhood. We acquired a piece of tract of land at Congress and Old Port. We're the China, and we are looking to develop a hotel concept that currently in Chicago. We're an existing hotel, family-owned hotel called the Guest House Hotel. It's kind of an apartment-style units. Most of our units in Chicago all have full kitchens, washer and dryer units, so it's a little different, not the traditional hotel concept. So we just want to say a quick hello, and we look forward to being a part of the Dawson community.
Yeah, welcome.
She's asking which location. It's 2510 South Congress. So just south of the HED.
Is it right next to the Washington or what your HED? There's a drive-through that's in between the Washington and HED.
The Taste of China.
The Taste of China.
It's the place that...
Yeah. And I just don't know how the property, none of that, how deep is that property?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Okay,
So it's just over an acre and a half.
Okay.
But about 3 football field long.
Okay, so there's a fairway behind the current building.
Yeah.
You're,
It's only about 100 feet wide.
because I know there's probably some behind there, and yours, and it goes all the way. Okay. How many units is it?
We're looking hopefully about 65, between 60 and 70. Our big concerns are the width. It's only 100 feet wide, and fire line access. Really kind of, 25-foot long fire lanes. We've got some trees that we really want to preserve. Getting around the trees with fire lanes.
I have to stop now.
Okay, this is.
I'm sorry. But we've got a lot to do, and if you stay till the end, maybe we could see through that. We're leaving because we have to be out of there by 8:30, so we've got less than an hour to go. So the next item is another guest from the City of Austin, and it's Jackie Tudor, who is bringing to us the priority survey. You've just done one survey. Now we're going to do the big survey, and we get this once every 3 years, Jackie. Yeah. So if you're prepared to explain everything about it, I'll let you go.
Okay.
And then Cynthia's going to help us through the survey.
Okay. Well, good evening. I'm Jackie Shooter. I'm in the Community Management and Improvement Department at the City of Austin. And my job is to help implement the neighborhood plans. So I work with contact teams and with other city departments to inform them about the recommendations from the plan, and to track the implementation, and to report that back to you and to City Council And so in order to make sure that we're focusing on the priorities of the neighborhood, we come to the contact teams every 3 years and ask you to take a look at the recommendations in the plan and then consider what your current priorities are. So that's, again, not coming up with new recommendations, but just looking at all the items in the plan that haven't been completed and ranking those. And we'll ask for your top 5 capital improvement projects. And capital improvements are like a permanent improvement that has a high value, like usually around $5,000. It's kind of a rule of thumb. So a sidewalk would be a capital improvement project. A traffic calming would be a capital improvement project. And there are many other types. And we'll also ask for top 5 non-capital improvement projects. So that might be a program like having more after-school programs for youth or increasing, having more health clinics, those kind of things. More programs as opposed to physical improvements. So in order to help the contact teams do that, we prepared a survey so you all can read over the recommendations and individually decide what you think is the highest priority. And then I'll compute those results and give them to the contact team to look over and consider those priorities and then give me the final priorities. And then I will share that with the other city departments so that they can give extra weight to those items that you've chosen. So we've had a lot of success with, particularly with the Public Works Department in considering the priority sidewalks. That's been a really good area of coordination for us. And we've seen some of those higher priority projects being built. And so we're always working with other city departments to increase awareness of what's in the neighborhood plans and to try to get those things built. So would you like to, are there any questions or?
Are we still working from the 1999 neighborhood plan?
That is correct, yeah, that's right. We're working from the original
We
neighborhood.
still have a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah, there's still some unfinished items, that's true.
So shall I hand that?
Sure. And I have a couple of resources that might help you. Some of the capital improvement items that are not complete are mapped on here. So if you want to get a visual of where exactly they are, then there are the recommendations here. And I have some smaller maps. I just brought 2 copies. And then I have an implementation tracking chart. So, and again, both of these are on the city's website. So you can download them. And then the tracking chart lists specific status and comments for every item. So if you have a question about a particular item, you can look at this chart or we can look at it together. And I have about 4 copies of that. And then if you all want to kind of look at these. One question is, do you think that
You guys had a good trip? It's still a honeymoon though.
Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
more aggressive attempts to make little tweaks in the current policy, trying to so once we find out it's Dawson, and once we know that Dawson neighborhood got
What you can do, so what we asked with the neighborhood plan is contact thinking about
Well, it is now. It's on the road. A lot of the just make it back.
Let's get back together again. So, has anybody not handed in their survey? Steve, have you handed in your survey?
Have I done so? I did put in my survey, sir. Yes, sir, Peter, I did.
Okay, so if everybody's ready, then Jackie's going to explain what happens next.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Thank you all for filling out the survey. I'm glad to see so many people here as well. A lot of contact teams have trouble getting out, and a lot of people that participate, so that's great to have the feedback of all of you. So now that I have your written surveys, I will compute the results and add up, what got very high or moderately important, whatever the categories are. I will add them up, and I'll give them to the contact team. And then I understand that contact team is going to meet in June, is that right, to kind of look at the results and process that, and then kind of confirm that. And then at that point, I will update our tracking database, and you will see the priorities show up on this chart on our website. And this is in PDF, but you'll see it in the priority ranking column, and then I'll start sharing this with other city departments as I meet with them. So we share information both in kind of this format, but also through an online mapping system, and so you can see your priorities there as well, because that's a public website that you all can access. And then we share with some internal coordination systems as well. So all those ways that we share information with departments will be updated to show your current priorities after the contact team meets in June. So, are there any other questions or not that yet?
Some of the items on the survey seem a little on the obsolete side. Is there a way to update the whole thing, or where would we do that?
Yes, absolutely. So there's a plan amendment process, and you've probably experienced that more through changes to your future land use map after meeting with developers. You might have gone through that type of plan amendment. Another type of plan amendment is to change the actual text in your plan. So that's to delete or to add recommendations. And so there's an application for a plan amendment on our website that specifically comes from a contact team. And we ask that you limit that to one particular chapter at a time. So, for example, if your plan has a traffic chapter or a parks chapter, you might say, this year we're going to look at our parks chapter and we're going to update that, and we're going to meet with folks and get their feedback on what is important now, that some things have been done, maybe some things haven't been done, but they're not as important now. And get everyone's feedback, and then submit an application to the city, and then we'll send notification out by mail, and then it will go to Planning Commission and City Council for approval. Because the plan was adopted by City Council, it can only be amended by City Council. So that's why we have to go through that public process. But you can do that every 2 years. So you could take on one chapter 1 year, a couple years later come back and say, this year we're going to take on something different, and then kind of update like that. We don't have staff resources available to help you with a more comprehensive update, which is why we ask you to limit it to one topic at a time so that you can really focus on that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Is that one with me? No.
Okay, so now we come to our usual order of business, and the first one is adopting the agenda.
Yes, sir.
So all those in favour of, let's do the motion from the floor.
I have a potential amendment. Again, similarly to earlier, other business, admin items, does that include the two motions that I've been submitting for resolution consider?
Have you included them in your final motions?
Those are draft motions until the moment that they're spoken.
Are
And
you
the
going to
attending
read those
members
out?
have discussed it and made potential amendments. They're not final, they're always draft.
Okay, but to all intents and purposes, these are the ones we're going to read out.
Yes.
They're not going to be changed. They're not going to be changed.
Like I said, they're draft.
Yeah, they're draft, but you're not going to change them.
See, there's no requirement that I submit final copy, final text.
Why don't you just read those two?
Okay, we have heard that you have items for the DMPCC. If you could clarify that those draft items are in this list there.
To what purpose?
To know what we're talking about.
Well, I'm asking whether or not they're on the agenda, hidden under item 7, admin items.
Admin items are.
If you tell me that no, the items that I've been submitting are not on the agenda, then I ask to amend the agenda to add them.
Well,
makes
other than
sense,
these
sir.
admin items, if you want to raise your hand during admin items and say you want those two items, if it's two, it is two.
2 for DMPCC.
Okay. Then we will accept those two items
Well,
during admin items.
they're agenda items.
But they're under admin items. We've got membership report. We haven't provided a list of people to be included in the membership report.
On the agenda, you don't need the text of the motions to be made. You need the fact that there will be motions presented.
But if you're here and we get to admin items and you put your hand up and say, I have two admin items, then they become on the agenda. Yeah? Yeah.
All right, if you're offering to let me speak the motions during that portion of the meeting.
We'd like to accept those motions the same as we will accept these.
This is putting us back on track and following parliamentary procedure, which we haven't been doing.
Are your items about parliamentary procedure?
About parliamentary procedure?
You just said there's two items and then you said you want parliamentary procedure. Is that what your two items are about?
The two items are not about parliamentary procedure. The two items that I'd like our neighbors to consider and vote on are about releasing the minutes shortly after meetings.
Okay, so they're
And about keeping the agenda posted publicly so that folks know how it's developing. If they can see it, they'll be interested in coming to the meeting. As is, they only appear on the newsletter, and the minutes appear 2 months after the fact, which is not helpful for those who would like to know what happened.
Divert over it. All we need to know is that you have two items to present under admin items.
I have 2 motions that I would like to speak to the floor and have a hand vote from our neighbors.
Well, it'll have to go to discussion, and if it's anything like this, it's going to take 40 minutes. So it would be good if we could know what the motions are, and then we could put them under admin items, and then we could address them in June.
Peter, you used to check the website twice a day to see if there are any changes in these items. I know this because I run the server that you've been on the neighborhood website. The 2 items
You're
for
tracking people who are on
DMPCC.
your website. Is that what you're doing?
I've heard that you've been telling people you had no idea about the items or what they are. Now, I presented a sheet of paper earlier in this meeting that had all of the motions that I plan to make for DNA and DMPCC.
So I would like to move on, and I would like you to accept that we will receive your agenda items under administration, and we will receive them and then discuss them at the June meeting. Because right now, time is going. And we've got to get out of here by 8:30, Chad. So if we can make progress by you handing them to us, so we know exactly what they are, and then we can move on.
Right, but items are submitted to folks by email or in person and then place them on the agenda. I've been doing that. Also, at the last meeting, I read these items aloud so that they would be in the public record. So it seems like every time I bring them here, you're going to say, oh, you'd like to present them to us for the very first time for consideration, and then we'll work on them a different month.
Let's move on into the meeting.
They're going to leave, it isn't because of me, it's because they won't follow parliamentary procedure. And they'll act like this and try and baffle me to just forget about the thing, and I'm not going to. That's not fair to me, it's not fair to other neighbors who would like our neighbors to represent them.
Chad, you need to be quiet now so that we can move forward and we'll hear you during the meeting. Okay?
If you're offering to let me speak
Before
on them.
We've already wasted like 7 minutes arguing back and forth over some little detail out here.
This isn't funny, Mr. Chairman.
We're trying to be as fair as we possibly can.
Actually, the point is you're not.
Okay. Okay, we're not.
Does anybody, put your hands up if you feel I'm being unfair?
No.
Everybody raise your hand if it's one. Any advance on one?
Y'all did the same thing when the shoe was on the other foot. Y'all went by the letter of the law.
You're one person, you just put your hand up. Now, is there anybody else who wants to put their hand? 3. Any advance on 3?
What are you asking?
I'm asking if you feel like I'm being unfair.
Is there a motion on the floor to decide that? Is that an agenda item?
I'm trying to get past this blockage.
This is not normal parliamentary procedure. The chairman doesn't interrupt. The chairman doesn't interrupt a point of order and ask for a vote on whether or not he's being unfair, unless the chairman is requesting a vote of no confidence to replace him.
Clarification. What I'm getting the impression is that this gentleman has been trying to, take us into the, following procedure. So it's clarified when there are things that need to be brought up, that somebody knows exactly how to do it. And I'm getting the impression that he's been trying to bring up certain things, and he's presented it in person, it's told, no, you have to do it in a formal fashion. He's presented it in an email, and nothing has happened.
Multiple times. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, these people are lying. I've never received acknowledgement for my submissions.
Actually, yes.
Actually, no.
Like next door.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, no.
Also,
Is there any way that we can move forward, understand what Chad wants, and we will accept his motions at the point of the meeting, which is administrative items, which is what they are, we understand. And so we need to call the motion and call the question so that we can move ahead. So somebody we've got the motion on the floor to accept the agenda.
I second it.
Thank you, Teresa. All those in favour? All those against? Motion's carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
I move we approve the minutes. Second.
Seconded. Who seconded it? Thank you, Joanne. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? Thank you. Motion carried. The membership reports. 10 minutes left. The membership report is on the... So
Do we have any new members, people who are here at the first meeting, who'd like to say hello? We can't hear you. I'm sorry. Do we have any new members who tonight is your first night?
there seems to be quite a few.
Welcome.
Martin? Yeah, okay. Oh, Martin, okay. Thank you, Martin. Al Pruitt? Ryan Dermott? Kelly. Is Harris in there? Matt Peerwald and Mary Hill. Those yeah. Ronnie Limon. That's Ronnie's left. He's been before actually. This was not new name. Suzanne Pimiento. I'm sorry. Suzanne. Sabino Pio Renteria. He left us. Martin Harris. Oh, sorry. You just signed the wrong one. That's all. Jerome Gardner. Yeah, you almost made it. And that's it for new members. Welcome to the new members. Okay, have we done the membership reviews?
We have to go for that.
Yes, we've got to do that next. Okay, then the next item on the agenda is the election of Chad Osper. He's been waiting a while. Chad was on the nominations, but there was a mix-up over whether he actually was nominated or not. So in December he wasn't elected, and then in February he wasn't here, so we tabled it until he could be here. And so now we're at April, and we've been talking to Chad at length, and he still wants to be a board member. So we need to decide whether we're going to elect him as an officer. Can I hear, this is for a board member of the DNPCT, can I hear a motion to approve?
I move we elect Chad Cosper to the DMPCT board.
The second? Second. Okay, Mike, second. So all those in favour of Chad? That's pretty much unanimous. You can't vote. Yeah. So he's elected. Great. Next item of business. New business. There was a demolition proposal for 2502 Wilson, and it was very strange because they were asking for a demolition, and then they were also stating that it was a historic building, and so there was a historic application at the same time, and it seems that the result was that the historic aspect is because the building has been there for so many years, so he has to go through a process of, is this worthy of keeping before they give the approval to demolish it. So the historic status was just a blanket administrative status, and so I think the approval to demolish has gone ahead as it had. No real merit.
Which office is it?
2502, so it's like 2 blocks from Old Hall.
I know,
On
but you get somebody to
It's
start.
a little bitty house in the garage.
Yeah.
It's
across the front of it.
Let your own speak.
3 from ours and 1 south.
Okay, thank you.
It's a small, kind of painted RV green little building there.
Okay.
Next to the,
Yeah, it is.
Repeat this again.
Jerome, could you speak up for this lady over there?
Okay. As to what, where it is? Okay, if you go, start at Old Court and head toward Cumberland, it's approximately halfway down that block on the right.
Yeah.
There are 2 new duplexes that went in 2 or 3 years ago that would probably be 2504 or something, but it's on the right. It's a small kind of painted kind of green, more like an army green. It's the last owner that lived there was a guy, Brad Vogel, and he sold it 85 or 6 years ago.
they're wanting to do?
They're demolishing it.
Oh.
I mean, I was curious and called the city since it was across the street from it, and I never heard of a thing for historic demolition. But they said that basically, if there's a permit, if there's a request to demolish anything that's over 40 years old, it goes to the Historic Landmark Commission. And then their staff did some minor, some review of it, and I think the residents within a few hundred feet of there got formal notice, whatever the city rates are. But they basically found that there was nothing historical there. I certainly knew nothing historical, the time I went across the street. And
Okay.
it wasn't in great shape when Brad was there. I do know that. I don't know what repairs they made.
Yeah, we're running out of time for
Okay.
So then the next item on new business was about outdoor music permits. So the granting of permits, the applications and the granting, comes exactly at the time of South by Southwest. So people are rushing to get their permits in to get their outdoor music set up for the event. And we had 2 applications come to our notice. One was for Lucy's Fried Chicken, and they haven't had outdoor music before, and so that one, we just received the approval last week, but they did have music by South by Southwest. And the other one was Opal Divines, and if you remember, they came at the same time last year, and they came very, very friendly to us. They asked for extra hours, and we said yes. And now, over the year, there have been a series of problems in that they have a outdoor quiz. So that's a bit different to music because it's a lot of shouting, like bingo or something. And so they say it's not exactly music, and it's very intermittent and very annoying, and they're not been keeping to the sound levels they're supposed to. So we responded to that with the information relayed about the problems, asking to discuss these things, and we didn't get the right response. But they have been given their permit, so they will carry on. But we're asking the music people at the city to meet with us and discuss these issues and see if we can't iron them out. And so that's what's coming. Yes?
Were there complaints?
Yes. Yeah. The Opal Divines is elevated above South Congress, and so the music is played right on the edge of the platform there, and it goes straight down the street opposite Alpine. So the music just drops straight across that section of the neighbourhood. And I don't know if I know that somebody recorded it, and they were at the far end of Alpine, and they recorded it because it was so loud. And then I don't know if other people around the neighbourhood have experienced the noise from Donna and that.
Well, I'm right across from Donna.
Okay, yeah, same. So it probably doesn't affect people too much in a big area, but right there on the opposite side of the open devices. So we hope we can come to some compromise on that. Okay, then the other business. So we have admin items and some chat. If you'd like to introduce your 2 items, and we can receive them and then promise that we will bring them up at the June meeting. Is that agreeable to you?
Read them, or?
You can read them.
Okay. Yes, I could also just indicate that they're on the last few items.
Oh yes, there's the receipts of 2
See, there are 2 that are identical that I'm asking for both PCCT and EMA. There's 6 items for DNA
No, we're talking about the 2 for here.
that,
2.
and 2 of those are identical to the ones I'm asking for a vote in DMPCT. I just want to say that because there could be some confusion about it. Why they're identical is because both organizations have minutes and agendas. And I'm calling this a sunlight proposal to bring them someplace so that the neighborhood can keep up with them. I'll go ahead and read them. I think that would make more sense. The MPCT, first, as it's phrased now, I'm proposing a motion that Dawson Neighborhood Plan Contact Team shall publish the draft minutes and a verbose official meeting summary on all official DMPCT websites and email lists within 72 hours after each regular or special meeting. And remember, when I read it aloud, then discussion occurs and we can adjust it however we see fit, they can input their ideas too. And the second DMPCT motion that I've been working on is a motion that Dawson Neighborhood Plan Contact Team shall maintain and publicly display an up-to-date copy of the draft meeting agenda in an unrestricted, well-publicized internet location, updated on at least a daily basis as required. And again, that's just the draft. Once I read it aloud, then the discussion occurs, and then we make it fit our
Do we have
needs.
2 minutes for discussion?
No, we're over now and we have to clear up the tables and chairs. So the lady can go home rather than working.
They've offered to allow us to vote on this at the next meeting.
Good.
I don't know about
Thank
you
you,
though.
thank you for agreeing to that.
So it's respectfully submitted. Thank you, folks.